All right, Kiss Army, welcome to the KissFAQ Podcast. Thank you for giving us your time today and letting us into your head. I hope we don't do any damage. We hope that you enjoy. Welcome to episode 341 of the KissFAQ Podcast. I'm your host, Julian Gill, and oh my goodness, it's the foursome. Put the band back together. It feels like forever since we've had Mark on. And Lonnie,
Yes. What's up?
Well, you were on last week, so let's just get into stuff today. We'll do some quick news.
Pretty good.
Well, hi, Becky. Top of the news. Today, condolences to Vinnie Vincent on the passing of his mother. She passed away earlier this month. So, Vinnie and his family, you were in our thoughts. Other news. Soul Station. First single drops tomorrow. It is now Paul Stanley's Soul Station. An Ooh Child by the... What is it? I've got to look it up again because I'm just not... The Five Step Stairs. Yeah. Had a hit with it in 1970. I've already figured out it was written by Stan Vincent. So, ooh. Apparently, the album's going to be called Now and Then, and it's expected on March the 5th with 14 songs. Some other songs that will be on it are Could It Be I'm Falling in Love and I.O.I. And it was co-produced, engineered, and mix supervised by Greg Collins. So for people who paid attention to Sonic Boom, Jikuko Retsuden.
Just to say that the album title Now and Then was used before. Well, probably used other times, but I know it was used on a Carpenter's album. And what they did on that album is they had some new music, and then they had the old, like it was 50s, late 50s,
nice,
and early 60s music.
You honestly think there's going to be some new music by
Paul
Stanley on this?
Yeah,
there is.
Paul wrote some new songs.
They're doing the same thing.
Wow.
Yeah.
So he could write new music for this. Okay.
Well, this is where his heart and soul is, or his body and soul.
Not for Kiss, Mark. Not for Kiss.
Yeah, he doesn't want to do any Kiss. All right, moving on with the news. A Target pre-order is up for April for a regular vinyl pressing of Ace Frehley's Greatest Hits Live. So I don't have enough details on that one yet. Is it on Amazon as well now?
Yep, I just saw it on Amazon too.
So that's just a general... I think it's only been released as a picture disc, hasn't it? And CD, obviously.
So. And CD.
Yeah. Today on Facebook, Tom announced Rockologist apparently got approval for 3 projects from Universal. So I'm hoping Live to Win, One Live Kiss, and Gene Simmons. I'm not saying it. Would be nice. Not going to say I want Gene Simmons.
Yeah. Let's not say that.
Go into a store. Do you have Gene Simmons in stock? It just, thanks a lot, Gene. So who knows what it'll be? There's some things that don't interest me, but those certainly would. So I'm hopeful one of those 3 projects will be something that I like. And finally, reissue of Cat number 1. I think it was last year. Yeah. They released the double purple vinyl of it this March, St. Patrick's Day, Candy Apple Translucent Green, which to me is far more appropriate a color. So yes. I will get one of those. And for other people, a book. People have been complaining that volume 1 of this is out of print, so it's back in print, or will be very shortly. And this is, of course, Kiss on Tour, just 1973 to 83. So many complaints.
It's a good one.
I don't want to read about 80s Kiss. I don't care about the reunion. I just want the classic
complaints.
Era. So if
Complaints?
So if you've already got this, one of the earlier printings, I think there's only a few minor corrections and one show that was postponed, canceled, added to it, and different ads and stuff throughout the layout. So if you've already got it, you don't need it just because it has a picture on the cover. Seriously, it's just for people who don't ever get the copy and don't want the full monster volume. All right. Mark, it's been so long since we saw you last. What you been up to? What's going on in your world?
Well, now that things are kind of back in order with my internet and stuff, I've been back on my musical stuff. I've also been messaging many Project Gemini supporters saying, yes, I'm not dead or whatever. I am around, and I am sending your orders now, finally. Now that things were kind of getting a little bit easier out here, but now we went through a state of emergency order here, so it might get crazy again here for sending mail out again. But, I'm trying to get everybody's order out. I'm doing pretty good. I'm almost done with all the CD orders for the new Project Gemini album. I'm also pleased to say that the Lacquer channel has started process on the vinyl release of In the Year 3073 Book 2. So we'll be doing that very soon. I do have a poll on my Project Gemini page to vote on the color for the new album. So you can put your vote in to put what kind of color it'll be. And I also started working with Joe a couple days ago on the new Dark Monarchy record. And can you believe that we have 8 songs written in like 3 days? Which is unbelievable that we have that much written already between the two of us. You can tell that we were very desperate to work on a new Dark Monarchy record. So it's going really good with that. We're not going to rush it, believe it or not. I mean, that sounds like we're rushing it, but really it was very, very smooth and not rushed at all, that writing part. But it'll be probably done in a couple of months, and that'll be another thing to talk about when that happens. But yeah, things are going pretty good, and knock on wood, my internet continues to be stable, and I can do many more episodes with my buddies here.
Nice. Well, welcome back. Glad to see you again. Let's get into today's show. We're going to topics from the board, but I do want to start with Lonnie, because last week Lonnie had something that I thought was going to be a hot take, and Lonnie certainly got hot under the collar when talking about it and animated. But I didn't have to delete a single comment about Lonnie's opinion. There was nothing but universal support. It was across the board unanimous. So I've protested the results because it clearly can't be the case with Kiss fans that everyone agreed that Lonnie was right. Lonnie, were you expecting hate and anger and division? Are you surprised?
I'm very surprised because if you go look at my Twitter mentions from about a week and a half ago, and Julian, you saw them. They were not there. There was no support when I made those. When I just made a simple observation on Saturday night, I got went after hard from all angles, and I was ready for it because, like, I can take it. I have 2 older brothers. I've been subject to abuse most of my life. You know what I mean? So I have pretty thick skin, and I'm pretty quick at coming back at a comeback because I've had to be my whole life. So I was ready for it, and I was monitoring the YouTube comments and the comments on the board pretty diligently in the first few days after the episode dropped, because I wanted to see if there were any nasty comments out there, like before you had to delete any or anything, Julian. But I didn't see any. It was nothing but support right away, saying that good for you for saying something. I totally agree with you. Blah 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 blah. I was impressed, and like I messaged Julian, and I think maybe the group, maybe Julian still, I forget, and said, I'm surprised that there are more trolls on Twitter than there are on the FAQ, apparently. I guess I was really shocked. So that, or Julian's already banned all the trolls. So.
No, we still have plenty. And you know what? I would only have deleted the most egregiously offensive if it was just nothing but insults. If someone called you to task and disagreed, I would have left that. So I didn't have to do anything because we're not against debate. I think it just proves that we've got a really good bunch of folk who listen to the show. So thank you very much out there for your support and for being open to, varying opinions. It is very refreshing.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I mean,
we'll try harder to piss you off.
Just don't go after someone.
Yeah, and so moving into the next kind of part on this is Paul Stanley's tweets. He dialed it back big time. He took a step back and said, basically put out there, do you need your rock stars to agree with your outlook? Because, something to that effect. I to be perfectly honest, I don't spend a lot of time reading anything on Twitter. And I thought that was kind of cool that he had been very confrontational with his opinions, and then all of a sudden he kind of stopped and stepped back. But that does become the first question to all of you. What do you want from KISS in terms of their tweets and their communication and their interaction with you? Mark, you kind of just rolled your eyes. What do you want from them?
I'm not interested in their political views and stuff like that. I mean, they're musicians, they're not politicians. And, I agree with Lonnie 150% from the episode before. I was very proud of Lonnie. I had a slight tear come to my eye when I heard his rant there. I was like, very good, Lonnie. I felt like that's my boy right there, because I have to agree. The guy says one thing and then does another. But the thing that really pissed me off about this too is that the guy was always talking about how, the fans are important to him and this and that, and the people that have worked for KISS through all the years are really important. They're the backbone of the band and stuff like that. But if they would have did the show like Lonnie mentioned in America, he would have helped a lot of unionized people in the music business with that as well. I don't know if you even thought about that. You know what I mean? These people are hurting right now for money during this situation. That would have been a big boost for some unionized people who work in the music industry, right? So I totally agreed with his comments about that. And I never had any issues with Paul and Gene whenever they talked about music stuff, or they tweeted about, hey, look at this, I found this, or here's an old demo and stuff like that. That kind of tweets I don't mind, because there are things that I'm interested in KISS. Do I need to be, scorned by Paul Stanley about wearing masks and stuff like that? I don't need to, because I do wear mine, and I don't need him to tell me I'm not an idiot, And then he says that, and then, he does a stupid thing like he did with going to Dubai. So, I mean, really, to me, stick with the music. I'll be happy with that.
And Brussels sprouts. Ken, what do you want out of, Paul or any rock star? And don't forget now that Paul has an album coming out. It's time to definitely play nice on Twitter.
It's fine. I have no problem with Paul marketing something that he's going to be putting out, this music, or his passion for that type of music, or something about KISS, or some a picture that they found, the old picture of KISS and stuff like that sometimes he'll do, or Gene may post. But yeah, I don't want to hear anything political, or telling me what to do or what to agree with. Everyone has their own opinions. Let them figure that out on their own. So, and I don't sign up for Twitter. The only time I see those Twitter things is when it's on the board and someone posts it, a screenshot of it, and I'll read it there. Yeah, I don't need any of that other stuff. Just stick to your, stay in your wheelhouse and do the KISS stuff, or whatever the other music that you're going to do. Or if you're going to do a movie, yeah, you can. I don't have a problem with promoting something like that. But yeah, stay away from politics.
Yeah, I don't actually have a problem with politics or opinion or anything. I just find it over the last year, because we are all locked down to differing degrees. We are all in circumstances where there are challenges in our lives. I just don't need to hear it. I don't want to hear it. It's just too many faucets are flowing at the same time. So usually it wouldn't bother me. I would just ignore it. But I certainly do take, Lonnie's point of view and agree with it completely, especially the optics of, what did occur. Let's move on into there and get back to the music and merchandising. Gene Simmons has, of course, announced a new partnership with Gibson, the nearly bankrupt guitar company, I believe. They've had hard times over recent years with his what's called the G2. I mean, that's like a Gatorade drink. G2 guitars and bass line, and these of course did debut at the Dubai show, maybe that show only existed to launch the new line of Gene Simmons basses. But Nikki Sixx has made these famous. Visually, Lonnie, what were your thoughts on that bass making its debut? Do you think he should just be sticking with his axe and his Punisher, or are you open to new things?
I'm going to sound like an old man Kiss fan by saying no. I don't like the new one. I like the axe bass. I like the Punisher. That you've been playing the same two guitars since the reunion tour. Even before that, he was playing the Punisher on the Revenge tour even. So I mean, the Punisher and the axe they fit Gene. They fit his personality. They fit the demon. I don't think the new Gibsons fit the demon. I know people are like, well, he played different guitars in the 70s. Yeah, I know he played different guitars in the 70s, but the Nikki Sixx style bass just does not fit Gene, in my opinion. At the end of the day, what it's about. It's like, well, the Kiss fans that are going to buy guitars have already bought a Punisher and they've already bought an axe bass, so why not give them a different Gene Simmons model bass guitar for them to buy? That's what it is at the end of the day, in my opinion. And if you want to go buy one, more power to you. That's what you want. But it's not, to me, it's not my cup of tea. I want, when the curtain comes down and Gene's coming down off that pod, I want to see that axe bass, or I want to see that Punisher bass, because to me, that's what you're supposed to be playing. It's like Paul Stanley with his guitars. There's a certain style of guitar that you should always see Paul Stanley, that you, in your mind, when you picture Paul Stanley playing a guitar, you have a couple different designs in your mind, just like with Gene with the axe. You have a couple different designs of Paul Stanley, what Paul should be playing, and same as Gene. And these new ones are not what I envision when I picture Gene on a stage playing. So for me, they don't do anything for me at all. Sorry.
Has anyone ever seen Gene with a Fender Jazz bass?
I think
I've seen a picture of him having a Fender Precision bass on a stand back in the 70s, like somewhere in the corner. I think it might even mean like that Midnight Special performance. I think off to the side, if you take a look, he had a Fender Precision.
Yeah, I was listening to a bunch of live shows yesterday, and when I visualized them playing what I was listening to, it was not that bass, that new one. It was the axe on every song. That's just what I kind of expect. So it's too close to Nikki Sixx's. They're beautiful equipment, but for me, give me that. Ken, what's your take on that?
Yeah, well, I agree with Lonnie about what fits Gene and doesn't fit Gene. Now, Mark did show some pictures of Gene, without the makeup and the guitar, and it looks fine. To me, it looks fine. It's without the costume and without the makeup. It looks like, okay, there's nothing that needs to fit there. But when you have the full costume and the makeup on, yeah, you got to stick with the axe or the Punisher. Those are the main ones that I always see Gene with, or I don't imagine anything else beyond that, him playing.
Mark, thank you for doing the show and tell as always.
No problem. I think I have to agree that this is probably a money thing as usual. I mean, when has Gene not been known for, trying to fill his pockets further? But this is definitely something down that path, because really, does Gene Simmons need another bass or another line of bass? I really don't think he's in any kind of dire need to have one. I think this is just a situation where Gibson came up to him and said, hey, listen, how about doing a special bass for your upcoming show? And presented him with something. And, because when I look at this bass, the first thing that comes to my mind is, wow, how much thought did you really put into this? Because really, I mean, it's just really a design that's I've seen 100,000 times, it's just almost like Gene. I can imagine the conversation. Gene, would you like to have a special bass done for you by Gibson for the show? Well, I really use my axe, and it's not. We'll give you $50,000 just to play it for one night. Yeah, and that's it, and it was done. You know what I mean? That's exactly how I envisioned it happening. Because to me, if it was some serious thought involved to it, I could imagine him maybe trying to put some more different aesthetics on it, like maybe some kind of Gene Simmons, like a logo on there, or put something in there like some design of his makeup on somewhere on like something more that makes it look Gene Simmons-ish. Because this doesn't look like a Gene Simmons bass at all to me. Like if you wouldn't have told me that he played this, I would never know this is a bass that he endorses. You know what I mean? So I think it's definitely just a money grab thing. And what I'm curious about is if we ever get back to live performances, let's say in 2022, will he be bringing these things and having them, sold for $50,000 and backstage,
Do you remember when Paul had on one of his guitars, he had that little metal plate down by, what the hell's it called, at the bottom of the guitar where the strings connect to where the Floyd Rose
the bridge?
The bridge, thank you. Paul had like a little silver star metal plate. Has Gene never done a metallic tongue, like twisty tongue down there at the bottom of one of his basses?
So.
I mean, a lot of them aren't exactly designed to have that kind of space. That'd be kind of cool, actually.
Yeah, but see what I mean? That's what I mean. That if it would have been more thought in it, he could have did something like that.
Yeah. Some kind of bat wing down there, even or something like that.
Yeah, well, yeah, a bat wing pickguard.
Right.
Yeah.
So there you go.
The elements that kind of work with Gene and his costume, those like little teeth, those things he had up on his spikes, for the flip switches and all that. All right. Now it's just getting silly. All right. So a book I'd like to see. I think a book about posters would be so cool. Lonnie, would a book about Kiss posters be cool? Would it be magical?
I think a book about Kiss posters could be cool, and like with a lot of outtake photos in there would be even better. Other pictures from the top of the Empire State Building. Other pictures from just some of those other classic shots. Other pictures of Spirit of '76. Some of those outtake pictures. I think that would be interesting because we see pictures like that from some of those classic photo shoots from time to time, and you see one like, oh well, that's you see it in the corner of your eye, like, oh, I've seen that picture a billion times, but then you're like, oh, wait, no, that's not that picture. It's something totally different from the same photo shoot. I think a book of outtakes of Kiss posters could be really cool. Just because they exist, so why not? I think that would be fun more than anything else.
Mark.
Well, there's definitely one book I would want. I mean, and because Mr. Zappa's company did this, and I was over the moon when I heard about this, and I'm going to be hunting it down because it's kind of hard to find, is they have a complete encyclopedic guide of all the musical equipment used recording-wise by Zappa. So imagine a really great book of Kiss and all the equipment that they used for recording their records throughout the years. What were the guitars that they used in the first album? What kind of amps did they use? What kind of pedals did Paul and Ace use? Even what kind of mixing console was used at Bell Sound when they did it, and then move to the next record and stuff like that. Go through each thing. What was the drum kit that Peter Criss used on when they recorded Dress to Kill? Like, believe it or not, they have books like that for like Zappa. They have a book like that. With the Beatles, they have a great Beatles encyclopedia with all their recording equipment there. They even have a great book I have here with talks about the whole recording thing in detail. What was on track 1 on the 4-track? How did they record it and stuff like that? Those are the kind of things that get me excited, and I'd love to see Kiss do something like that.
Ooh, yeah. I've seen some of the actual like studio rental stuff for Kiss Meets the Phantom, so I know the guitar that they... Well, that was for the movie, that they hired for the movie scene, but got the studio sheets for Kissin' Time. So,
cool.
The mics and the stuff that they rented for that.
Really?
Yeah, what else? There are some other ones. Obviously I've got receipts for the picks Ace bought before recording the first album. Got the receipts from the wind chime for the Elder, shit like that. But not enough for a book. But if I have those sorts of things, so do other people, and who knows, maybe it could all be gathered together. That would actually be very interesting. And I don't know if any of you know that Def Leppard just opened its online web vault this week, where they're sort of going through their stuff. But that would be fun to put into it, like an online experience, studio sheets and stuff like that, as well as a printed version. Ken, what's your take on a poster book or some other book idea?
Yeah, I agree with Lonnie about the posters. All their posters, outtakes of posters, ones even outtakes of any shots for album. The album covers, or the back of an album, or the inside of a album, pictures that they took, including all the posters, even including promotional posters that were promos for the albums or for singles. That would be all cool to have in one book. As for like Mark said, the instruments, I agree. I don't know about a book, but I think that they should save that kind of thing for a box set on each album and put that in as part of like the booklet. You show, okay, they used these guitars and these instruments for this album. Then the next album you have the box set and you have another book and it shows the instruments in there and so on. That's how I would do it. I would break it out into separate box sets for each album. And do it that way.
Yeah, all of the magazine ads, like that full color one.
Yeah,
Mark
exactly.
That'd be very cool.
Stuff would be great.
Yeah, because I remember, going through Circus magazines, which I'm obviously still doing for the Aerosmith book, and keep running into Kiss stuff. All the ads that they ran in there, all the ads that they ran in Billboard, Cashbox, Record World, and in the UK or internationally, Sounds and whatnot. That'd just be fun eye candy. Talking about books, we've mentioned like the idea of a Kiss tour book before, but I have a question to fans out there, and I was having a discussion with someone about the 1976 Alive, so the first Kiss tour book. If you've got it, I no longer have copies, and when I did the web pages for the FAQ on that one, I was pretty sure that on the very last page, on the inside cover, which had the discography, it had the next album, just a square with the text, and not the cover for Destroyer there, because it wasn't ready yet. Does anyone have a copy of that tour book that actually has the artwork for Destroyer pictured? Or is it just the blank? I put up a version on the FAQ reference site, and I don't know if I photoshopped that cover in. So someone was telling me, we were having a debate that I said there were two versions of that tour book, and he says there's only one. So check if you've got the original Alive 1976 tour book, which Mark is showing, Kiss on Tour 1976. Good title. I would love to put that to rest. I know that some come with an order form for merch, a yellow one I think it was, or the fan club, and others don't, but that'd be really cool. All right, who brought topics to discuss of their own? Raise your hand and go for it.
No one's raising their hand.
No. You guys didn't.
Lots of show prep going on today.
God, because I didn't do any show prep.
What is going on here?
Gotta go on the message board. Let's see.
This is good. This is good listening.
I can bring out the trivia cards. I can pull that out and see if you guys know.
Here's one that I found interesting this week. What is your worst, or do you have a worst Kiss concert experience? Most of us have seen the band multiple times. Is there a show that sticks out in your mind that's the worst Kiss concert I ever saw?
Oh, yes.
Go ahead then, Julian.
Do it.
It's your topic. You're supposed to go first.
You want me to go first?
No, everyone knows that when I got back from that show in Reno in, I think it was 2017, was absolutely horrendous. Not because the band was horrendous, simply because of where I was positioned was absolutely horrendous. What was supposed to be front row was instead in front of a wall.
Oh, yeah.
With the stage off to the side, and I was just furious about that. And then, obviously later going to Def Leppard, and it again supposed to be the same, and instead you're in front of all this tarp covered crap on the side. So yeah, technically front row or second row, whatever it was, that was my least favorite Kiss concert ever. And again, not because the band's performance was bad, it was just because I basically got neck strain trying to watch them that day. Lonnie?
I do have a bad... it's not a bad one, but I remember seeing them. I saw them on 2012 with Motley Crue. And I'd seen them, the previous year in 2011 they toured. They did like a Lost Cities tour in 11. I'd seen them a couple times in 2010, called them like 5 times in 9. I'd seen them a bunch of times in a row, like with all the touring that they had done after Sonic Boom came out. And I was really excited for this show, actually, the Motley Crue show in 12 in St. Louis, because when they played St. Louis in 2012, it was the first time they had played St. Louis since 2004. They had skipped St. Louis multiple times, so I was always having to travel to go see him, which I loved doing. It's always a cool experience to travel to go see him. Taking a road trip with my brother or whoever to go see him was always a good time. But I always, I want to see him in my city. I want to see him in my hometown. And I think we all can relate to that. There's something special about seeing them in your hometown. So I was excited that they're finally coming, and my brother and I we had great seats, and Motley Crue came on, and I thought Motley Crue was really, really good that night, actually. And I've seen Motley a bunch of times, and they were good that night. I really enjoyed them. And then Kiss came on, and it just seemed flat to me. I've had other people agree with me that in 2012 on the tour that they were flat, and I have other people say, oh no, they blew Motley off the stage on that tour, blah blah blah. I just thought they seemed flat that night. And then I saw them a week later in Indianapolis, and it seemed, maybe it's because my expectations were lower. They seemed better that night, but for whatever reason, they just. I think Motley blew them. I think Motley put on a better show than Kiss did in that package tour, and to me they just didn't do it for me that night. And I remember getting back into the car, walking to the car with my brother, and and the radio station in St. Louis was like playing Kiss on the radio, because that's just what they do. After a show, you play the band's music on whatever big show was in town that night. You play that band's music. For a couple hours after the show, and they were playing, I don't know, Heaven's on Fire or something like that. And this lady goes, well, see, they didn't play that either. The lady was bitching about the set list, which I thought was funny. But to me, they just seemed flat that night. I guess, and I've seen a bunch of times where they just blew me away. But so that night it just didn't do it for me. And I guess, sometimes I guess bands just go through the motions some nights though too. Hey, we're in a smaller market. It's just another night on the tour. It's a Tuesday night. It's maybe it's hard to get up for it every night. But to me, it just didn't do it for me that night.
Fair enough. Mark, what about you?
Actually, the ironic thing is that Lonnie talked about the exact same tour that I was going to talk about. Because when I went and saw them in Toronto, I went and saw them during that Crue Kiss tour, and I thought Crue were fantastic. They were really good live, and I thought the only thing was that I just thought that the volume was like really insanely loud at the show I was at for Crue. Like the guitars were like, whoa, like him and Tommy were like ear bleeding levels. And funny, Vince was actually singing really good, because that's when he broken his foot and there was danger that they were going to cancel the show. So he couldn't run around. So he was actually kind of in one place most of the night. So he sang really good because he wasn't out of breath the whole night, right? So that was one of the best Crue concerts I'd ever witnessed. And just like what Lonnie said, when Kiss came out, I was all excited. The intro started, Kiss, and they came out, and then after song 2, I was already like, what's going on here? Like it just did not hit me with the same vigor as Motley Crue had a couple of, like 45 minutes before. You know, it wasn't like a terrible show, but it just had nowhere near the punch and the energy and the excitement as that Crue show did. I mean, I clearly remember going to see Kiss when they did the reunion show, the '96 tour at Toronto at Skydome when I went to see them. And I mean, that place, you could cut the energy with a knife. It was so exciting then. Like people were really like on the edge of their seat for Kiss when they came out. I mean, I felt bad for Degeneration, the band that opened, because they were getting like just booed, like get off this stage. Like people wanted to see Kiss so badly at that point that, I don't care who you are, opening for Kiss was a mistake then. But I just found that after a certain period, their performances started getting a little less exciting. I mean, even Psycho Circus, I thought it was a good tour, but some of the 3D effects didn't work well from where I was sitting when I went to see it. I mean, the saving grace for that show was I got to bring my sisters who had never seen Kiss, so watching them was just more fun than watching the Kiss show, right? But that tour, I don't know if that was just the beginning of things to come at that point, but just like Lonnie said, I found that they were kind of, not so exciting that tour.
That's funny. I was actually going through my photos from the show I saw on that tour as well yesterday, because I've been clearing off storage systems, and I think I finally deleted the very last copy of my recording of both of those sets, because I had just gotten a digital recorder and I didn't turn down the mic, so it's so overblown you can't even hear anything for both Kiss and Motley Crue from Concord on that. But I do have video of Paul flying right over me to the point where it's like he's trying to kick me in the head. I hadn't done anything to annoy him yet either, but
You were
yeah,
banned.
I've enjoyed all my Motley Crue shows, by the way, that I've been to. So I wasn't that shocked that they were really good in in 2000. What was it? 12. Yeah. All right, Ken, have you ever not enjoyed your Kiss show?
No, just one time. I mentioned it before. It wasn't that show that you guys mentioned. I thought that was okay. But it was Crazy Nights again. And I've said it before that they just didn't seem into it when they were playing. I know you've seen them on Crazy Nights on some other videos, like in Japan, which is great, really good stuff. But this show at the San Francisco Civic Auditorium was not very good. I mean, they played fine. It's kind of like they just showed up to get the show out of the way, slammed through it. It wasn't that long. It's probably the shortest of the concerts, probably since Dynasty, I would say. And Dynasty, of course, they didn't have as many songs back then, but to play. But it was just, it's like something's wrong. Something's off with these guys. It just seems like they're just not into it at all. So that's the way I felt, and the friends I went with, they felt the same way too. So yeah, it was unfortunate. I mean, it wasn't horrible, but it's I expect a lot more out of a Kiss and a Kiss show, which they usually give.
Cool. All right. Who else has a topic trawled from the board?
Best Kiss studio album opener. Go, Mark.
Well, I think honestly, and I've said this for a long time, that I think still that the best Kiss opener I've heard is King of the Mountain. For me, that's always been my favorite opening track on a Kiss record. I mean, it's a great display of Eric Carr. I think it's a great display of the energy of the band at that point. I also think it's a great display of Bruce Kulick and his guitar playing at that point. I mean, he had done an instructional guitar video, I think that same year, and one of the first things on that instructional video is he went through that whole guitar solo section of King of the Mountain on there. So, I mean, he was really on fire at that point, I think, and it's always been my favorite non-makeup Kiss album. So I definitely think that is probably one of the best, if not for me, the best opening Kiss song.
Cool. How about Lonnie? What's his pick?
It's Creatures of the Night for me.
Oh, cool.
I think, you know, Eric Carr's drumming and the guitars kicking off that song is just fantastic. And I think not only is it a great opener for an album, I think it's great when they opened shows, when they did that song live to open up shows. I wish they would have done that more often, and wish they, you know, it was really cool when they brought Creatures back a few years ago. I wish they would open up more shows with it, because I love that song. And I think it's such a great opening track, and I'm sure, like, for you, Ken, like when you put on Creatures for the first time after living through Unmasked and living through The Elder, and you put on this new Kiss album with this new drummer on the cover finally, and just starts with those drums and those screeching guitars right into it, you're probably like, holy shit, they finally did it. They finally made a rock album. And I think it not only does that song represent that period of the band, but it's just a great song and a great way to kick off one of their best albums. So for me, it's Creatures of the Night, hands down.
All right. Julian, what is it?
Well, you know, I want to say King of the Mountain because of what the album means to me. But there's nothing quite like when you listen to the very first song on a band's very first album, whether or not you were there at the time, because it represents the start of the band's journey, especially if it's a pretty hot song like Strutter. So I'm going to go with Strutter today, because I think we spend so much time looking back at the band and their history that I wouldn't feel right going with some of the opening songs that I really, really do love, like Exciter or Creatures of the Night or King of the Mountain, which are closer to the time where I became a fan. It feels right to say Strutter today. What about you, Ken?
Okay, well, I actually answered that poll on the board, and
well, I don't read the board.
I know, but most people, yeah. So anyway, I had picked I Stole Your Love, and because I think that is, I know there's a couple of other close ones, but I think that is the best opening song on a Kiss album. I think it's the best opening song that Kiss could or has played for a live concert also. I think that is just, you know, when I heard that song lead off, or when they played it on the Hot in the Shade, you know, it was just fun. I was like, oh yes, this is it, you know, because I remember hearing you know, these old, or seeing old videos of them playing it and stuff like that, and I couldn't believe I was finally going to get that. But yeah, I think that's it, and that's the song that ended up with the most votes on the board. Mm-hmm. I didn't cheat or anything, but they put it out. I answered it when they first pretty much posted this poll up there. I think number 2 is Detroit Rock City, one of Mark's favorites. Yeah. Creatures of the Night, it looks like to be in third place with 13%, but 70 votes. King of the Mountain did okay, 21 votes for 4%, but I think the least opener. 2 looks like the openings. Rise to It. Rise to It.
That's a shame. That's a good song.
Did the worst out of all the songs.
But then, comparatively speaking, you know, you can understand why it would.
I have a topic.
Good.
Okay. Go.
I got a topic. So, okay, got to think a bit here on this one. So we got we have 3 drummers in Kiss history: Peter Criss, Eric Carr, Eric Singer. Which of the 3? Well, we're talking about in a live situation.
Okay.
Of the 3 drummers, which do you think has done the best drum solo that you've seen?
Want me to go?
Yeah, go ahead. You go first.
I'll go. The best drum solo I've seen is the Eric Carr on the Hot in the Shade, where he's playing those. What is this? Synthetic drums?
Simmons drums.
Simmons pads.
Yeah, Simmons.
Yeah. 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 And actually makes a, a song out of it as part of the solo. Creates a song and is drumming with it, and it worked perfectly for the stage set. It made me think of Egyptian. It sounded Egyptian to me. It was just perfect. So I think that's the best, at least as far as entertaining solo. I know Peter Criss has done some great ones too, way back, early. But the Eric Carr one is really my favorite drum solo.
Julian?
Yeah, concur. Peter's drum solos, I'm sure if I'd been there in the 70s, would have been fantastic to be part of the tribal thing and the phasing and all that would have been really cool. But because I became a fan in the 80s and saw Eric Carr, and he was the pictures in the magazines for me as a young fan, exactly what Ken said. And add to that, when they start doing the laser show during the Hot in the Shade, playing off the Simmons, the regular drumming, and then all the laser lights, and it's just spectacular. It really is, to this day, a very cool effect that they've never really replicated for Eric Singer, even during the End of the Road tour. Surprisingly, when you see all the lasers that they now do use, that they've never tried to, do homage to Eric Carr by integrating some of those elements in his drum solo these days. That was really the high point of Kiss drum solos. Because Eric Singer never brought in some of the cool stuff he did with, like, Alice Cooper, the flaming drumsticks, which would have been a great riff on, Peter's original exploding drumsticks, So it would have been nice of them to do that. But Eric Carr, I never get tired of watching, one of the Hot in the Shade solos, even the Crazy Nights tour, once they get past Japan, they're fantastic. I love the Crazy Nights drum solo from Budokan with Bruce doing the no 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 bit. That's the only time I like no no no, is when it's part of that. So Eric Carr, Eddie Cannon's was terrible. All right.
Lonnie.
I personally, one of my favorite drum solos I've seen is actually Peter's on the reunion tour. I like the tribal type feel to it, but the way that he incorporated the crowd into it by, like, the dun dun and then pointing at certain areas of the arena. I always, it's a gimmicky trick, but that's Kiss, and I thought it was a way to get the crowd to interact with the drum solo, because a lot of times, what do people do during the drum solo? Now that's when you go get another beer, that's when you go to the bathroom, it's a break in the show. But I always talk about, I saw him in St. Louis on the reunion tour, his third show of the reunion tour, and it's 96. So I haven't seen any footage of the band. The reunion tour had been going on for less than a week at that point, so I hadn't seen any footage of the band playing at all. And wasn't expecting to be a part for the audience to participate in the drum solo. So when it does it, and then points to my side of the arena, and they turn the lights on that side of the arena, and everybody cheers. I thought it was great, and I thought it was a fantastic gimmick for Kiss to do. So I'm always partial to that Alive Worldwide drum solo that Peter did. It's one of my favorite drum solos ever.
Cool. So for me personally, I got to agree a lot with the Eric Carr thing, but I'm gonna mention one as an honorable mention, which I thought really impacted me quite a bit, actually. Back when Kiss did the club tour, when Eric Singer had joined the band, I had missed that Toronto date when my friend had gotten the bootleg video of it on videotape, and we brought it over to his house and watched it. He had a really great stereo system, so when he put it on, it was like insanely loud in his house, and it was like you were sitting in the club watching this. And I remember watching him do this drum solo, and Paul Stanley comes out and says, "Okay, man, show them what you got," because it was like his first real proper introduction to the Kiss fans of Toronto at that point. And I was honestly taken aback by his drum solo. It wasn't very long, but he was showing all his, like, catching things and all his things that did, all his frilly stuff and his tom rolls and his double kick stuff was really, really impressive. And even I even found that whole show, he had totally modernized Kiss's songs with the way he had played double kick to a lot of it, like songs like Deuce and I Stole Your Love and all this stuff was like, it sounded like new current material, the way he drummed it, and plus they had, a much heavier guitar sound at that point during the club shows. So I really found that drum solo kind of affected me in the way that I was kind of like excited for Kiss that they had this drummer, kind of almost in the way how when I heard Painkiller the first time, gone was Dave Holland and his sort of, dull, boring drumming. And here was, Scott Travis, who was like on fire in comparison. And I was very excited about the band all of a sudden. Same thing with Kiss. When I heard Eric Singer, I was like, wow, I can only imagine what's going to come now. So that's a drum solo that really impacted me.
Cool. All right. I've spent the week basically deleting Evan Stanley stuff out of the general Kiss discussion forum because Evan Stanley is not Kiss. So he gets to build his own career, and I relegate him to our Let's Talk Music forum, which is not publicly visible. But I do want to ask your guys' opinion about that stuff. He actually dropped 3 videos 3 days ago. Memories, which is the Maroon 5 cover, for which the video has the cameo by Bryan Cranston, or whoever. I've never watched a single episode of that show, by the way. And 2 other songs, which I think are his own compositions. What are your thoughts on Evan Stanley? And I've followed that kid. We've seen him do the bluesy stuff with his pops on stage, and he's a hell of a guitar player. So all of a sudden ending up in auto-tune land is, kind of disappointing to me because it's just not my taste. I know it's modern music and it shouldn't be my taste. He had a MySpace page years ago for Jupiter's Ring, which had some pretty promising rock material as well. So please don't, Mark. Oh. Yeah, not my bag. So, Lonnie, let's start with you. Any thoughts on Evan Stanley?
I tend to agree with you. It's not my thing. I've listened to it, but it's just I don't need to go back and listen to it again. It's not my thing at all. And I guess it makes the 4 of us sound like old men on this show that this modern music, this is my stuff, but it's just not. It doesn't move me. It doesn't do anything for me. It's, I don't expect him to be Paul Stanley Volume 2 or Paul Stanley 2.0, but I thought there'd be a little more influence in it than what there is, and it doesn't move me in any way. In no way am I've no desire to go seek it out, or to download it for that matter. It's kind of, I don't know. I don't want to say if it's disappointing or not, but it just doesn't do anything for me. Stop whatsoever.
Yeah, Evan, leave your father's vocal smoothing pedal alone. Yeah, no, I'm old. I really don't listen to very much new music. I think that when the last Lady Gaga album came out, I did listen to the whole thing, and I did enjoy it. But in terms of new emerging artists, I didn't listen to any of Sophie's stuff because it's the clips that I had heard were enough to turn me off. It's not like I'm just going to go that way. So I'm not going to bash on the guy because his father could cause me trouble. So, Mark.
Well, I mean, I'm going to approach this from a different kind of perspective, sort of, that from a producer's end of looking at it, I think that it's kind of, there's nothing wrong with it. I mean, it's very modern, very current sounding, but there's just things about it that just instantly rubbed me the wrong way. The amount of auto-tune on it is unbelievable. His voice is tuned to death. I can't believe how much tuning is happening on this already. And this guy's young, come on. I mean, your dad has an excuse at least, right? I mean, and it just, it just seems like it's very bland. It's very just like paint by numbers music. I mean, if I was Paul Stanley's son, I would maybe try to take advantage of it a little bit more and come out with something really hard hitting, because I think that why people like him do this kind of stuff is because they want to get in and write music that's kind of commercially accessible in hopes of getting on getting in with whatever kind of industry people are still left around. But I think at this point he has such a big musical name behind him, he could get away with taking a few more risks and putting out something that's maybe a little bit more daring and get away with it than some unknown could, right? I think if I was Evan, I would write something a little bit more daring. Come on, you can put something a bit more heavier, something a bit more, flashier than that. I mean, come on, how dull is that video too? Like just a pickup truck strumming an acoustic guitar out in the desert. I mean, who hasn't done that 100,000 times already? Like, come on, man.
It had bongos.
Yeah, I mean, it's everything about it is just so done 100 times. I mean, come on, man. You have your dad there. He has some pull still. Come on, man. You could have done a much better video than that.
Brutally honest. But yeah, I do agree, especially if he's going to have, did you see on Spotify that his emoji is basically a smiley face with one of the eyes is a plus? Yeah, maybe I'm reading too. Okay, voice of reason. Give us some reason.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. I've only heard one of the songs so far. I haven't seen those videos yet. But I'm guessing they're in the same vein of the first song that was released. And yeah, I don't care. It sounds like everything else out there, and that's what I don't like. It's nothing unique. You got to be unique to be different. That's what'll make you stand out. Not running with the crowd. Doing something different. So it's like when you mentioned Lady Gaga, when she came, she was different. She wasn't like the others. And so yeah, I would have rather him done something like even acoustic guitar and no tricks on the vocals. Do something more acoustic, or even rock. Maybe Gene Simmons right. Rock is dead. I don't know. But I might be buying the new Miley Cyrus, CD. She's done a little bit of rock now. And so you never know. At least it's an attempt. But yeah, I guess the music today, everything sounds the same. Unfortunately, I don't think everything sounded the same. Maybe people think that way about the music we liked from back then, but I don't think everything sounds the same. At least from the 70s, there was a lot of variety. But nowadays, everyone wants to sound the same and do the same kind of instruments, the same kind of tunes. Yeah, it's just, maybe I'm getting old too, like you said, and cranky with the new crowd. But I think he should have went a different route as far as his music, and that's my opinion. I'd love to have him do a blues type album. You talked about blues, a full blues album, even covering old blues. Maybe write a couple of your own kind of blues songs. I think that would have been more exciting to me. Yeah, fun.
Yeah. So. Kid with a privileged upbringing singing the blues.
Yeah.
How terrible life is.
Oh my gosh. Yeah.
No, it'll be interesting to see where he goes, because there's no doubting his musical credentials. He's had an incredible upbringing and exposure to music through his father, and who knows, from his mom as well. I don't know what the deal is, but he has said, spending that time on tour with Kiss, he will have seen all of the stuff that goes into musical production and the values. He has jammed with his father, at sound check, playing blues riffs, and with some great guitarists. I think his education was music backed. So, again, just because it's not my taste doesn't mean it's good or bad. It's just not my taste. And I run into plenty of music that I listen to once and never listen to again. But it's just because of deleting it so frequently from the board. No one is going to get a free pass because they're someone's child. They have to establish some credibility on their own. Mm-hmm. And covering Maroon 5 to me is not gonna work, play any cred. But, do check it out. Go on YouTube and check Evan Stanley's out. His other songs are Leave This Love and Just Saying. And he's got videos for both of those. Actually, I'm not sure if they're performance videos or what. But, give it a listen. Worst you can do is, gouge your ears out with an ice pick. So, all right. That's some random topics from the board, some catching up. We'll be better prepared next time, maybe. Who knows? Maybe not. Maybe this is just a sign of things to come. But we'll see releases coming down the road. Should be lots of stuff for collectors to get excited about. Ken, what was that thing that you had at the beginning of the show? You still got it?
Oh, yeah.
Do your show and tell.
It was a collector. I guess if you collect, Hallmark ornaments, Christmas just passed. And
I got that.
There you go. You have that?
Yeah, I got it.
Okay, so Lonnie knows about it. That it, if you push the button on the guitar, you can actually play it.
We'll get a copyright dig for this episode for playing 3 seconds.
I cut it off.
Now.
I cut it off. Yeah. So so it's something different and cool. Hang on your Christmas tree or whatever. You don't even have to hang it. You just display it as a guitar.
And hopefully, someone recorded Eddie Trunk's Sirius XM episode today, where he and some special guests tried to assemble a best of the solo albums. It's always interesting and entertaining. We've done it before on this show.
We've done it
to hear others do that. And what was that other Oh God. I'm really unprepared, but Department of Metal Antiquities checked out their episode on Carnival of Souls. So that's the first time I've listened to a podcast in a little bit. So there we go. That's it. So for this week, from Mark, from Lonnie, Ken, and myself, thanks for joining us, and hopefully we'll see you next time. Thank you for spending time listening to the KissFAQ podcast today. All sales are final. There are no refunds. If you'd like, look us up on Facebook or come over to the KissFAQ message board and discuss the topic we've broadcast today. Don't forget to rate us on iTunes, Spreaker, or wherever you've listened to the show. We hope you'll join us again.